Hey there, book nerds of the internet! It's the end of another month, which means that we're going to go through some of the books I read this month. Also, I have a little bit of an announcement. So next month for September, I've decided to do a Sci-Fi September, so I'm going to be reading only sci-fi for the month of September. It is going to be a lot of classic sci-fi. It's going to be a lot of fun, so look forward to it. Now to go into this last month's reads, I read 6 books. Let's get through them right now. Okay, so the first one is Far From the Madding Crowd. I read this as a digital book and I really enjoyed it. I super like classics, and so I haven't really read any Thomas Hardy, and so I decided that I probably should. Honestly, his prose in this book, gorgeous. One of the characters that it follows is Bathsheba. She has almost all the power in this story. She has the power to choose who and what she wants because she is given her uncle's farm when he dies, and so she is a wealthy landowning woman, which is not the most common in this type of story, or the stories coming from this time period. I don't agree with all of the choices she ends up making, but that's because, well, she's human and she makes some poor choices. But she has a few choices in terms of marriage, and yes, I just did a video about Water for Elephants and how I didn't agree with the romance in that book, and well, this is a book where I like the romance a little bit better. It's just 3 men are just so intriguing and multifaceted. So the first one you have is Gabriel Oakes. He's a shepherd. He's really stalwart and steady. He's very moral, a very good man. You just can't help but love him. He has a hard time expressing emotion. That's just how he is, and so he's just kind of adorable. It's just really nice to see him, especially in comparison with Bathsheba, who like goes every which way. Second is Boldwood. Boldwood is another farmer. He's kind of the most elegant man. Every woman wants him because he's steady and has money and is very suave, but he's very stiff and he doesn't express himself very clearly in a very different way than Farmer Oakes. Farmer Oakes doesn't express himself because he's more quiet and reserved. Boldwood's just awkward. He ends up fancying Bathsheba and he's just like super awkward and manipulative about it because he feels like he deserves to be married because he is who he is. And you don't hate him for it because he is like a lovable character. I feel sorry for some of the situations that he's in. So he's really multifaceted because there's parts of him I really don't like and really don't approve of, and there are parts of him where I'm just like, man, that is rough. I really wish he didn't have to go through that. And then third is Sergeant Troy. And Sergeant Troy you're kind of set up to not like. He's not the most steadfast, he's not the most considerate or good. He's pretty selfish and you just kind of cringe with him liking Bathsheba and you just like don't trust him. Anyway, so you're set up to not like this character and you just kind of don't, but you like understand some of where he's coming from, and some of the time you're just like, alright, I'm done. You just need to shape up or ship out. There's just a lot going on in this book, so if you like that kind of book, if you like Jane Austen, if you like books in that time period, you should definitely check out Thomas Hardy's Far From the Madding Crowd. I really liked it, so definitely check that one out. Next is Xenocide. So last month I read Speaker for the Dead, and so this is the next installment. So in Ender's Game there was the first Xenocide, and in this book, Xenocide, they're trying to avoid another eradication of an alien population. And I can't really go into it much because it's the second, you know, it's right after Speaker of the Dead, and you know, I don't want to ruin anything in that one, I don't want to ruin anything in this one. So suffice it to say I really enjoyed this book, and there's all kinds of good stuff. It's a big book, there's a lot to get through, so you should start Speaker of the Dead and then read Xenocide. Next is Ship of Theseus. And I've talked about this book a little bit, and I'm actually probably gonna do a review video because it was super good. This book is by J.J. Abrams. It is a really interesting multi-story situation going on, basically of the story of the book and the character in the book who only knows himself by the letter S, and then it's also the story of the 2 readers who are writing notes to each other while going through this book and trying to figure out who the author is, because the author is a mystery. So it's all fiction because we all know who actually wrote it, but it's pretending to be a library book by a guy named V.M. Straka, so all fiction. The author is fiction. The readers who are writing notes in it are fiction. The actual story is fiction. There are very many layers, and if you want to see the video, it should be coming soon, and I'll let you know all about the details of this lovely book. I loved this book. So next, I read the next Terry Pratchett book. I'm reading these chronologically by when they were published, and so this is book number 11, and it is The Reaper Man. And in this book, Death takes a bit of a break from his job and becomes a man called Bill. This shows what happens when you stop taking life from the world and it just accumulates all over the place and causes all kinds of havoc. Terry Pratchett is a brilliant author, so definitely check out his books. This one was really fun. Death is one of my favorite characters, so awesome read. Next, I read Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore. It's a fun little book. It has a glow-in-the-dark cover, so obviously that's worthwhile. This is a bit of a conspiracy thriller book as the main character Clay kind of drops into this like whole crazy cult situation that revolves around books and puzzles and code cracking and all kinds of things. It's a light read. I wouldn't say that it was anything like too brilliant. I wasn't like swept away with it, but it was a decent fun read. I read it to the end, but you know, it wasn't very long, didn't take much effort, so it was alright. Last, I read The Rent Collector. So this book is set in waste dump in Cambodia where people live and sift through the trash for plastic and metal and other materials that they can sell. So this book follows a family, Ki, Lim, and Song Lee, and their sick son, and they live in this dump, and you follow them as they try to make ends meet and like have problems happen to them as they're attacked and they're stolen from and their child is sick, and Song Lee is given the opportunity to learn from someone else in the dump and to try to get a better life for her family, and it's a really good read. It's a little bit based on a documentary about an actual giant waste dump in Cambodia that's now closed, and I actually saw that documentary, so it was actually really interesting reading this because I could imagine it all in my head from watching that film, and it was just a really fun read. It's really interesting to like try to get out of yourself and live in your head in a place that's completely different from anything you've ever known. Try to understand what that would be like and the difficulties it would entail, but also to be delighted to see the humanity that still exists there. And that exists everywhere that humans are, and also the travesties that happen as people treat each other poorly. So I really enjoyed this book and I was glad to read it this month. And that is it. I only read 6 this month. Please let me know what you're reading in the description, and let me know if you're going to be reading Sci-Fi in September, because I'm definitely going to be doing that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos, and I'll see you next time.